a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning.
Good morning, Tobago. Welcome this morning to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. It is a beautiful Friday morning, and I am Rhea Richardson George, and this is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. Viewers, this morning we're coming to you from the third floor, Port Mall, Lower Scarborough, Tobago, and we're really happy to be in your company. Julian, unfortunately, is not with us this morning, but we've got quite an interesting lineup for you. We're talking politics, we're talking Carnival, we get some updates, and of course, well, a little bit later on this morning, we're going to be interviewing Mikhail Lewis, who is one of the winners of the interdepartment competition. He's going to be on the program with us this morning, and we're going to be chatting with him. So certainly looking forward to that. But we tell you a little bit more about who's coming up on the program, and we're going to get into some birthdays a little bit later on. But for this time, we're going to head on over into news in 90 seconds with Candace.
Thank you, Rhea. I am Candace Jackson, and here is your news in 90 seconds for Friday, 24th February 2023. Minority Leader Kelvin Morris failed to gather support for his no-confidence motion against the Secretary of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development, Trevor James. Morris accused James of corruption and bid rigging in awarding of 4 road infrastructure projects worth almost $300 million through select tenders. However, Deputy Chief Secretary Dr. Faith B. Israel stated that Morris presented no evidence to prove the allegations. She explained that there are several different procurement methods that the government is allowed to use to hire contractors, and James used selective tendering process. Meanwhile, the Chief Secretary, Fali Augustine, told the House that audits into questionable infrastructure projects undertaken by the previous THE administration are still ongoing. However, he stated that the findings would form the basis for legal action against the companies. Furthermore, Secretary of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development, Trevor James, stated that despite ongoing investigations, the accused contractors were hired for several major projects over the past year. He insisted that the contractors had not been blacklisted, but they would be held to a high standard. James claimed that problems were noted with some of the projects undertaken by those contractors and action is being taken against them. Trinidad and Tobago is expected to start talks with Venezuela in 3 weeks about producing and selling gas from the Dragon gas field to this country. Energy Minister Stuart Young returned from Caracas yesterday after meeting with several officials and stated the groundwork was laid for teams to begin negotiations. The second meeting in Caracas came after the U.S. government agreed to grant TNT, the national gas company, and Shell permission to develop the Dragon field, with the possibility of increasing LNG and the petrochemical production. And that was your news in 90 seconds. It's back to you, Ria.
Thank you so much there, Candace. I know you were just about to say back to you, Julian and Ria. Yeah, but Julian is not with us this morning. But Candace, very quickly here, your thoughts on what has been happening with regards to this motion being laid against the Secretary for Infrastructure, Trevor James. What are your thoughts?
Well, I was actually looking forward to seeing the information because yesterday, a couple of days ago, while Mr. Morris was on set with me, he said that yes, he had some more information to release, some documents and that sort of thing. And the information he released was not different from what was already said at press conferences or on the Minority Report and that kind of thing. So, I mean, yeah, I expected some bombshells, but the bombshells did not come. And then, well, you know, the executive council, the members, they were able to defend. We heard Trevor James himself, he was able to defend his actions, and there was explanation about the different tendering processes. There are several that are approved by the government that can be used. So, you know, while the minority was stating that, you know, the tenders for those projects that have been an open tender, that's just one process that can be used. There's actually several. So, and that was outlined. So yeah, I mean, that's just sort of what went down in the House. Some very interesting things happened also in the House between, you know, Mr. Duke and Mr. Augustine and the Speaker and the presiding officer, sorry. You know, yeah, but that's yeah, that's all kind of it in a nutshell.
But you expected more bombshells with regards to motion.
I did. I expected some hard information, but I did not hear that hard information. I did not hear anything different from what was already spoken about.
All right. Well, interesting enough, that's the same way I felt. I expected more based on the lead up to yesterday's sitting. Mr. Morris did indicate that he had hard evidence.
Yes.
Against the secretary, and I think we were all waiting for the hard evidence. But I'm not sure. Maybe there's a part two. I'm not sure. Maybe.
Well, I mean, that was his opportunity because he would have been protected under the parliamentary privilege stipulation. So, you know, whatever information, he can be held liable. The only other new information was that we got some more details about the actual companies themselves that we used. But then that information can also be, you can also get that information through the Freedom of Information Act. That's public information. So it's not necessarily bombshell.
All right. I guess maybe later, a little bit later on this morning, maybe with one of our guests, Mr. Ashworth Jack, we'll get some more evidence or more information on, you know, what we might have missed or what the minority councillor might have missed as well. So I guess we continue, or the discussions continue on.
All right.
All right. All right. Thank you there, Candace, for the news in 90 seconds. Viewers, lots more interesting things coming up. We are going to head on over into our birthday celebrations for today, Friday the 24th, February 2023. So celebrating a birthday, we've got Tiffany Anderson celebrating a birthday, and this birthday greeting is It says, may you see many more may you see many more years, and I wish you all the best on this new chapter. Love always, Zani. I'm hoping it's Zani, with these beautiful pronunciations these days. So Zani, happy birthday going out to you from your sister Zani. We've also got a birthday celebration going out to Verlene Douglas, who celebrated yesterday. So Verlene, happy belated going out to you. Trust that you had a great one. In fact, we trust that you're going to be celebrating all week long into the next week. Have a great one, and love from all of us here at Tobago Updates. And Sheena Nelson, no stranger to productions or to the arts department throughout Tobago. We've got Sheena Nelson celebrating her birthday. She celebrated yesterday. Sheena, love going out to you from all of us here at Tobago Updates. Trust that you had a great one. And then we've got Hyacinth Rodriguez celebrating her birthday. And this birthday shout out is coming from Julian and the entire family. So happy birthday going out to you, Hyacinth. She's a fellow Rotarian. And we've got this lovely lady here, Lee James, originally from Bethel, Tobago, living out in Seattle, USA. From your sister June, your niece Zainara, and the entire Tobago family. Now, Lee she visits every year for Easter, and she would love to visit and meet the entire Tobago Updates family. She's been viewing every day from Seattle, USA. We've got a special one going out to Siobhan Lynch. Siobhan, happy birthday going out to you, and lots of love from your family, as well as all of us here at Tobago Updates. Tracy Caldera celebrating her birthday. Tracy, happy birthday going out to you from all of us here at Tobago Updates. Trust that you have a great one today. Jenny Joseph celebrating her birthday. Happy birthday going out to you, Jenny Joseph. Trust that you have a great one, and love from all of us here at Tobago Updates. We've got Crystal Phillips celebrating her birthday, and lots of love going out to you this morning, Crystal Phillips. And we trust that you have a great one. Enjoy. And to all of you celebrating your birthdays, we say happy birthday going out to all of you this morning. Viewers, we're going to head on over into Tobago Notes at this time, so we'll be back.
Designing solutions to preserve Tobago's coastline. The Coastal Zone Management Unit has earmarked several sites to action, including Buku Bay, Sandy Point, Swallows, Pigeon Point, and Kendall Bay. Manager of the Engineering Unit of the Division of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development, Atiba Martin, explained, though in the infancy stage, the department is resolute in its plans to save Tobago's coastline.
We recently, last week, received the inception report from Smith Warner International, where the consultants looking into the upgrade of the Milford Bay Pigeon Point rehabilitation, all that, coastal erosion issues that they have down there. And just briefly, it's still in the infancy stages, but briefly I could say that one of the findings coming out of that study was that a lot of the infrastructure that we put there were poorly done, or they're not suitable. So some of the choices that we made, yes.
However, Mr. Martin revealed some short-term plans the unit has embarked on to stabilize the beachfront.
Part of the intervention going forward is to do some beach vegetations, a little thing called a vegetated sand dune to help boost the sand stock that we have down there that we currently losing. But definitely, a lot of the problems were encountered because the infrastructure was poor, and I'm talking about the breakwaters and the groins and what have you, were poorly selected. So we have some improvements to make there.
Mr. Martin admitted that a number of current stabilization structures have outlived its design life, which typically lasts 50 years and is due for replacement. The Coastal Zone Management Unit was formed in March 2018 and is responsible for conducting coastal zone risk assessment with a view to providing updated qualitative and quantitative data on risk in the coastal zone of Tobago.
And that was viewers, Tobago in Focus. That was Tobago in Focus. And we're going to let you know, viewers, what's coming up on the program this morning. We are going to be chatting today with the former minority leader of the Tobago House of Assembly, Mr. Ashworth Jack, and we're going to get his perspective this morning on the motion of no confidence. So he's going to be chatting with us on that. We're also going to be chatting this morning with Mr. Atiba DeLeon, who is going to be chatting with us on Carnival 2023, hit or miss. We're going to get his perspective, and then we're going to be hearing this morning from Mikhail Lewis, who is the first place personality in the department 2023. And he's gonna chat with us on his win and what he expected, what he did not expect, and I guess some information on the overall experience. And that's what's coming up on the program this morning. Viewers, we encourage you this morning to tune in with us, whether you're locked on to YouTube or Facebook, or you are viewing us from TV on Gael M&E TV. We encourage you this morning to connect with us. We want to hear from you as well. We want to get your thoughts, and we've got persons as well sending in videos from their carnival experiences, whether they were jumping up in the fray of things or they were camping. We did make some noise in Mount St. George, and we may have disturbed some sleep to some persons. They'll tell us more about it later on in the program this morning. But this is your opportunity this morning, viewers, to share the live, share the live, share the live.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up below. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show. Live more.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning.
Viewers, welcome back this morning to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. We are always happy to be locked on with you. We've got on the program with us this morning Mr. Ashworth Jack, former minority leader of the Tobago House of Assembly. And this morning, the focus is on the motion of no confidence. Good morning and welcome to Mr. Jack.
Good morning, Ria. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, everyone locked on the World Wide Web. Let me thank you for the opportunity to be able to sit with you this morning and probably just to some perspective on a couple of things.
Okay, we're happy to have that. Now, this motion against Mr. Trevor James being presented by the minority leader, Mr. Kelvin Morris, it's been described as vague. We want to get your thoughts this morning. How would you describe this motion, this motion against Mr.
I think
Mr.
firstly, you need to look at the motion itself. And even the way the motion was written without confidence. Without confidence.
There was a no confidence motion written without confidence. You're saying?
In that the motion didn't speak definitively. It spoke to allegations. And people need to understand, that a motion of no confidence, especially when it deals with people's character, there need to be some care taken in writing such a motion. Because once the genie is out of the bottle, you know the kind of society in which we live. People are going to make speculations and stuff like that. Let me just probably look at it. Let's look at the motion itself. Whereas there's public concern about the allegation of bid rigging. And it goes on to ask the chief secretary to remove a secretary based on allegation. It's in the public space, but nobody could say where in the public. I deliberately went to the House yesterday. I said I can take in the debate because, as I said, a vote of no confidence is not something that you take very lightly. And so I went to the House waiting for all the bombshell revelations of the corrupt practices and stuff like that. And I think anybody who was doing that would have been disappointed with the lack of information.
Okay, let me ask you here, based on what was presented, based on the information, or as you're saying here, lack thereof, was there any validity to the motion?
Well, that is my concern. My concern is that if you bring a motion of no confidence and then you're specific, you're saying it's a bid rigging, and therefore you have to come with airtight evidence that bid rigging did take place, and these are the areas in which they took place. What happened is that the respondent to the motion, Dr. Faith B. Israel, would have pulled the document on procurement, and in one fell swoop was able to deal with all the matters that was raised, which wasn't really much of substantial. And so what happened yesterday, it was almost a beat up, because when you go into a no confidence motion, it is one of the most emotional motions there is, because you're attacking someone's character, you're attacking, and so there's a lot of emotion in a motion, especially on the persons who are defending it. And then there's another issue you need to take into consideration, is that you're a very, very, very small minority. And therefore, if you're a very small minority, when you're coming with probably one of the motions that will have the most impact on an individual, beside the budget, you have to come so prepared that when you finish, regardless of what comes after, people see it as, okay, I could believe this. But you can't allow the politics to be the greatest thing that you have.
Right.
It must be the information. It must be the conviction that this is the law, this have happened, this is the law, that have happened. Here is the evidence. I can present, because if you notice when Dr. Israel was doing, she was allowed to use the television too, so that people could see what the law says, what this says. And that is what the minority leadership also asked for permission to do. This is the document I have. Read it. It's not me saying this. This is the evidence that I'm producing. And so I am always very mindful. I'm very mindful of how people's character get destroyed in the realm of politics without any real evidence. Because, as I said earlier, once the genie is out of the bottle, you can't put it back in. And therefore, regardless of how much was said or how much would be said, there are people who will walk away saying, you know, this is so. Is this really what you want? Because your time is going to come. Your time is going to come. And I think that I believe in that this politics of demonization needs to stop. You need to be the politics of progression. This is what is happening. I have seen this. You have not been doing this. And either fortunately or unfortunately, the minority leader is normally a chief secretary in waiting. But of course, in this case, it's not, because the minority leader is not the political party of the, but they are leader of the party. And so one would have expected that if you're going to do something like a no confidence motion, beside the airtight information that you're coming with, or the evidence, I should say, you will also come with a position on what your future administration will look like, what it will do, what it will ensure never happens. But when you come out of a 21-year situation where there have been allegations for the 21 years, but yet there have never been a situation, even my 8 years as minority leader, we have never brought a vote of no confidence that was written in a way that implicates someone without evidence. Because what it does, as I said, it tarnishes people. And therefore, the thing about that is, even if you had brought a vote of no confidence, you can't say it is allegation. Said, we have concrete evidence that this person have done this. Because you really can't tell me that you're convicting somebody on an allegation. Nowhere. Beyond a reasonable shadow of a doubt.
What then would you say was the real intent?
Politics.
Behind
this politics. It was just to grab some political attention. It was clear. It was politics. And I think that the minority leaders are fortunate, very, very, very fortunate guy.
How so?
Because if you had debated me on a political motion like that, I was gonna eat you up so bad. Because you have 21 years, I have 21 years of evidence of mismanagement and stuff. So you see, you open yourself to a lot of leaks. And then what I heard coming out is that, let's say I was going to do different. So it's okay, let me forget what happened in the past. Let me only focus on what happened in the last year and 3 months.
The last how long?
Year and 3 months.
Again, how long?
Year and 3 months.
Okay.
So it doesn't work like that, but I think, in all fairness to what I saw yesterday, I think it was one of the better prepared debates. I saw most of as I said about the emotion, when you attack people, they have to defend themselves. And so I saw a lot of the respondents and the persons who contributed to the debate being extremely well prepared. I actually smiled. I said, actually, this is a better prepared day than I've seen in a lot of these.
And in your opinion, did Mr. James receive justice?
Oh, I think Mr. James was well protected. And that is what happens when you didn't come with evidence, because evidence cannot be refuted. You might say something, but hey, this is it. And there were a couple of errors yesterday. And I think that the minority was very fortunate again yesterday. I think the presiding officer allowed something to slide that would not normally slide.
Which was?
And that is when the minority councillor got up and seconded the motion. I don't think people understand. Once you get up to speak, you have spoken. And the only way you can speak another time in the motion is if you are the mover of the motion, or you are the secretary who responds to the motion.
Right.
In this case, what had happened is that the mover of the motion did not reserve her right to speak at a later stage. And let me explain that. Every minority motion needs a seconder. That is how the standing order is worded.
Right.
A government motion does not need a seconder, but a minority motion needs a seconder. In order for, and if it doesn't have a seconder, then the motion falls flat. It can't be debated any further. And so when the person the mover of the motion is finished speaking, someone gets up and second the motion. But if the person, whoever second that motion, if they want to participate any further in the debate, they must reserve their right to speak at a later stage of the proceedings. What I saw, and I don't know if it happened before, but if it happened before, it doesn't make it right anyway,
right,
is that the minority councillor got up, seconded the motion, and sat down. It means that the minority councillor have already contributed to the debate because she did not reserve her right to speak at a later stage in the debate. And therefore, if the presiding officer was taking sides, and even you didn't have to take sides, that is just the way it is. But I think that the presiding officer is very lenient. to allow the minority counsel at a later stage of the debate to again contribute, even though she did not reserve her right to speak. I'm saying these things because it is not an attack on any individual. It is that people understand how the system works. And in order for us to look as though we know we're doing in a so-called Westminster-style democracy, we have to be able to follow the rules of how a parliament works. And so I hope that this is the last time, because people are looking on, you know.
Yes.
People looking on and saying, but what's happening here? You know, this doesn't make any sense, that doesn't make any sense. They don't know what they're doing here, they don't know what they're doing there. And my disappointment is, and someone will tell me, well, they're new. Quarter your term is not new. Quarter your life is not young. Quarter of the term is not new. And not only that, you're coming into a situation, you want to govern, you want to run a government, you must learn the rules of the game. And if you belong to an organization that have been in this case, in the assembly for 20-something years, they should have sat down their members and school them on how parliamentary procedure works, what to expect, what not to expect, how to deal with this, how to deal with that. And similarly, if you're getting into government, even if you are a new organization, you have to find persons with the requisite experience that will help you to navigate those things. Because what you're doing is not child's play, you're running a government. You're going to the parliament. We call it Tobago's Assembly. Tobago's Assembly is the Parliament of Tobago.
Right.
And therefore, it is the highest decision-making body in Tobago. And therefore, you have to be at that point where you're sharp in what you're doing.
All right. Now, in moving forward, what can we expect? What can we look forward to?
Well, I am hoping that what transpired yesterday, is a lesson to everybody. That allegations can destroy your character. Right? They don't have to be proven. And especially in our society, right? In our society, you are guilty until proven innocent. When it's supposed to be
the other way around.
The other way around, right? I'm quite sure you've heard me say this before. I used to go home and look for me now. I used to go home and look under my bed. I say, you have a next Ashworth Jack here somewhere. Because I used to hear things about myself that I didn't know. And so I said, go home and look for me. And that's one of the things in public life. And people need to understand, there is no need to destroy each other in public life. You are opponents, not enemies. And what we're creating is enmity, not opponents. I heard someone speak yesterday about how some people are removed and losing jobs and stuff like that. And it is unfortunate that we lie to our supporters. And let me tell you in what way. I have never seen a government anywhere in the world that the government change and all that change is the top layer. Even in the mighty United States of America, when there is a new president, there's about 1,000 and something jobs that goes with him. It is the only way you are able to make the changes, the policy changes that you want. Policy have to be driven from the top.
Right. And
the people who you have to give your first layer of instructions have to be on the same page as you. Other than that, you will get nothing done. And you're hearing that complaint on a daily basis.
Right.
In Canada, they have changed their constitution to make their PS come in and go with the minister. Because they understand, if your PS not working with you, then you're in trouble.
But is that the way that it operates here?
No, but here, what happens is that the PS is a public servant, so hey, I'm untouchable.
Right, because they are public servants.
Yeah, untouchable. But there are other positions that can affect the way you do things, and some of those contracted, and that's why you're bringing contracted people in order to push some of your programs and policies. You know, and And it is accepted because I would bet you, I am hearing it in the street again, and that's why you can't convict, and now I would call nobody name. It is alleged, there's an allegation that people have been saying, when this administration, or if this administration changes, all of them going home. And you're hearing it. You're hearing it in the street.
Yes.
But the same people saying, no, don't touch anybody. These are our people, they are sacred. You know, and so things like those. Also, yesterday I heard one of the members, I think it was a minority leader, made a statement, and I was like, whoa. And he said, we make policy here. They don't make policy in the assembly. The policy is made at the level of the division. The executive council makes policy. Normally a thing makes law. A legislator makes law, and they don't make policy. So things like those, you know, it might be a misspeak, but for the person who is on the outside that don't understand, you know, we need to constantly educate persons, even persons who are looking on and say, look, I would like to get into the assembly, I would like to do this, I would like to do that. They must know the difference between a lawmaker and a policy maker, and stuff like that, and how that affects us.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Mr.
There's just
Ashworth
one
Jack.
other thing that I want to
Tell me.
think, which is totally unrelated, and it is very controversial. But I have lived my life like that, and so I'm cool with it. 16 years ago, I took a motion to the assembly asking them to move Tobago Carnival to another time of the year. Stop the pre-Lent Carnival. It will never work. Once you have Carnival the same time with Trinidad, it will not work. A number of islands in the Caribbean had pre-Lent Carnivals, and they moved it because Trinidad Carnival was becoming such a big thing.
Right.
Tobago, Trinidad could benefit from each other. You saw what happened in October compared to what have happened in February.
Right.
And therefore, I'm again going to say this. Exec Council, if you're listening, announce that Carnival in pre-Lent Carnival this year is the last you'll ever have. And allow the Carnival to be at whatever it be October or what other time of the year that you have. And of course, if you all think that there are things that you can't do, like Panama and stuff, there are numbers. They can still play Pan in October in Tobago. The scores are secured because that will happen anyway.
Right.
You play, the scores are secured, and then they look at the scores and you decide who is the finalist, who is the semi-finalist. Nothing will change. But Tobago is going to benefit economically and all years. But as I said, that's a whole other argument. But I just had to get it. I just had to get it.
You needed to vent. You needed to get it out. Well, thank you so much. And the discussion on Carnival continues. And how would you grade, if you had to grade, because I noticed that Mr. Arawi gave Carnival, the mother of all carnivals this year, a grade C. How would you grade?
C-. In Trinidad, C-. In Tobago, F.
I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for chatting with us this morning, Mr. Ashworth Jack. Lots more coming up on the Tobago Updates Morning Show, viewers. We continue this morning the Carnival 2023 synopsis with our next guest, Mr. Atiba DeLeon, who's going to be coming up with us very shortly. Viewers, this is still your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
It's back. The new comedy drama stage play by Alan Charles. Midlife crisis. The kids are grown. The mortgage paid. It's now their time. That's the problem. Coming to Shore Park Complex, Tobago. 7 p.m. Saturday, 4th March. And Central Bank. 7 p.m. Saturday, 11th. And 6 p.m. Sunday, 12th March. Tickets $175. Available at A&A's Pharmacy, Port of Spain. Maranatha, San Fernando. Living Legacy Pharmacy, Arima. At the Shore Park Complex. Penny Saver. And Pablo's in Tobago. Or online. www.theticketsellers.co.uk. Midlife crisis. For better, not worse.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your nice car get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider, Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry, don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry, if your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry, what I'm saying is true. So just consider, Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry, if sickness catch you off guard. I tell them never ever worry, if times fall on you real hard. I tell them never ever worry, what I'm saying is true. So just consider, Tatil will always be here for you.
Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
It's a different type of thing down there. What? And we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Back to the Tobago Updates morning show. The discussions on Carnival 2023 continues on. Here to chat with us and give us his perspective, we got Mr. Tiba Dilion, and he's going to chat with us again on 2023 Carnival. What's been happening now, Mr. Dilion? Good morning and welcome to you.
Good morning, thanks for having me.
Now, Faris Alwari says C, a great C for Trinidad Carnival, the mother of all carnivals. Mr. Ashworth Jack, who was our previous guest, indicated a -C for Trinidad and an F for Tobago. Your thoughts, Mr. Dilion? How would you grade, how would you rate this year, 2023, the mother of all carnivals?
For Tobago? Or
let's get you, we'd like to get both perspectives, Trinidad and Tobago. Based on what you've seen.
Right, based on what I've seen, Trinidad looks pretty good. It looks pretty cool. It looks like, I will agree, like a B. It wasn't I saw a lot of masqueraders and onlookers complaining about certain turnouts, certain services of this sort. However, for Tobago, I will say it was a poor showing, in the sense of at some point in time we had to realize that change have to come and change needs to be done, because we're doing something over and over and expecting a different result, right? That is insanity. And Tobago Carnival has been dead or dying, and this year was actually the worst I've seen.
Is it dead? Is it dying? Because dying says there's hope.
I want to say dead for February, and reason being, there are countries like Jamaica, countries like even Miami that have places that keep on like Miami, St. Lucia, Barbados. They have a bigger partying and masquerading capital than Tobago, and they realize that they can't compete with Trinidad. So why is Tobago even trying to host an event around the same time? Now, from what I've seen looking this carnival in Tobago, was I realized that every aspect of the carnival, from mud mass to juve to night mass, the predominant bands that had okay numbers was loaded with kids, right? So why aren't we focusing this time of the year? If we want to do something, let's make it a hub for kids carnival. Let's do a whole build out. Let's build a kiddies juve. Let's do a Monday for kids, Tuesday for kids. Forget trying to do the same model that Trinidad has. Because biggest part of Carnival, what makes Carnival successful, is numbers. You need numbers. If you don't have numbers, it's a horrible showing. And the adults aspect of Carnival, let that be focused in October, right? Let's erase that totally from February. Let's focus on kids. Then there are some special need kids. How do we build out something that incorporates them as well?
Right.
That they can be creative, that they can make their own costumes. They can think, how can we make it February to be one of, we could have mud mass for kids, we could have juvenile, it's now a learning factor.
Now, I'm glad that you mentioned mud mass, because we're hearing the talk on the ground that mud mass this year seem to have been the highlight. What would you say to that?
Yes and no. Mudmask has always been the highlight of Tobago Carnival. However, the quality, I am a big fan of that. I don't like that part of. I saw a mud band came down both days, Monday, Tuesday, and it had more people without mud than with mud on them. So that begs is one out of two questions. Is it that they're not getting the quality of mud that they paid for, or is that they are not paying and they are storming the bands?
Okay.
So with that being said, we have to look at it from a different aspect, that how do we get these things, and for me, I'm just looking at it from an educational standpoint, that we can get mass into the schools, the primary schools that is. How can we get them more involved from a historical standpoint and also a traditional standpoint, understanding what everything is.
Right. Juve, your thoughts on this year's Juve? Scarborough, Roxborough, Crown Point.
Horrible. Horrible show.
Which of the three venues, which of the three locations would you say was the best amongst them?
Crown Point had the most persons, and most of these persons came on late. Scarborough normal is dead, and I am thinking that if you are keeping any carnival, this is my plight to anybody who is in power, anybody who is in, from an administrative standpoint, even October Carnival. Your highlight of any carnival is in the capital, right? That is one thing. You could look at Jamaica, look at St. Lucia, look at Trinidad. Port of Spain is always at the forefront. Now, there are other carnivals elsewhere, as in South and Arima, but however, Port of Spain is always at the forefront. Your capital have to look good, and it hurts to see that when you come to Scarborough, you could see tumbleweed blowing at some of the instances, because it's that bad. And it's like one person in a band, two persons in a band. I mean, come on. At what point in time do we say enough is enough, and we can't appease everybody? As much as we want to go up in the east, we want to go down in the west, we want to keep everybody happy. The reality is, the highlight of any carnival throughout the world, your capital is on main stage.
So what would be your recommendation as it relates to Juve for February?
For February, I will say again, focus solely, primarily, honestly, and just overwhelmingly on kids. Let's have a kiddies Juve. Let's do a kiddies mud mass. Let's do kiddies Monday and Tuesday. Forget kiddies on Saturday and Sunday. Let's just do from Juve, from the Sunday night into the Monday, go back to Tuesday. Let's focus on kids. Let's involve the special needs kids. Let's see how best we can build out something like that. And then for Carnival, how about us focusing on camps? You know, because it's a destination for a person from Trinidad to come to Tobago to me have church camps. You know.
Go ahead, Mr. DeLeon. Go ahead.
We can't do the same thing and expect the same result. We do not have the numbers. And if the persons who are diehard masqueraders from Tobago, if you go on social media now, you will see every single one of them in Trinidad. So what does that say? That let us focus for adults, let us focus on our carnival product. And the investment that we are making from a monetary standpoint into February, let's shift that to October. You know, I was fortunate to visit a church camp at Roxborough Composite. And it was nice to see the stuff that they had planned out. They went hiking, the different stuff. So how about us marketing the carnival period as probably a camping
that's in February.
In February, as a camping destination to come to Tobago.
I want you to hear what some of our viewers on the live are saying. Mr. Donnie Vincent says, Donnie Vincent said, each school can make a king and queen costume to represent as kiddies' costume for Kids Carnival. Philip Skate says, persons don't want to be muddy, but go along with the mud anyway. And I think that is the contribution to what you said initially, where there were more persons without mud than with mud. So they want to be a part of it, but they don't want the mud. I'm not sure if that's the best band to be in, but Philip Skate also says Mud Mass was free and still they did not put it on. I'm not sure but yeah. But you still didn't give us as well, you still didn't give us a grade for Tobago.
Tobago, I'll give Tobago
F being the lowest.
I'll give it a F. I'll give it a F, and that because we are putting our eggs in the wrong basket, right? And I think from a political standpoint, we had to stop learning to please everybody and do what is best. Everybody may not see the vision now, right? Because it's your vision. And if you have a vision, everybody may not see it now, but in the long run and hindsight, looking back, you know, they will say thing. It come like from a political standpoint, you hear people will say the best chief secretary ever had is Hot Choy Charles. But when he was chief secretary, everybody bashed him. And then after a while, they saw some of the visions.
Compared, now they have more to compare with.
Right. So it's the same thing. So like in 1999, when Mr. Charles wanted to export water from Tobago, people laugh at him, right? But no, the bottled water is one of the multi-billion industry in the world, and it's the same thing. We have to develop a product that is geared and unique to Tobago, right? That allows people to come to Tobago, whether it be from a camping standpoint, whether we're looking, as Mr. Vincent would have stated, whether we go to the primary schools and have they create their own mass and get the kids more involved, because we are building capacity. And you cannot start a foundation from the roof. So the older persons who play mass in February, that so adamant about Carnival being in February, we cannot build a future or a foundation from them. We had to start with the grass and we had to start with the kids.
Okay. One of our other viewers, Julia Brown, says Carnival in Tobago has changed because of the peace, because of the peace and mass, because of the peace and mass, day and peace and mass here. Okay, the peace and mass here and there. Okay, got that. Carnival was Roxborough Monday, and all roads leads to Scarborough on Tuesday. Best mass. I guess Alicia Samuel says Mud Mass was way better in the 80s.
Yeah, but I mean, unfortunately, in 2023. So we
can't go back there.
Yeah, and a lot of us, we do that oftentimes, especially senior persons, no knock on them. I mean, you're reliving the moment. But a lot of times, you always go back on what it used to be. But we have to be real in what it is now. And what it is now, how do we get it to a place to where it is acceptable, to where it is a great product, to where it is that persons are keen and eager to come to Tobago? How do we get to that point? And we have to come up with solutions, and it may not be the same thing that worked in 1980, may not work now.
Right. Now you said February Carnival for the children and particularly the special needs children. Yeah. Rodney Pigott says for February Carnival we should focus solely on steel bands. Let's have a steel band explosion.
I agree with that as well. Now, all those could be things that you could add to it, but all I'm just stating is that we have
not the traditional
format that Trinidad follows. We have to come up with a format that works for Tobago as it relates to whether it be kids, whether it be steel pan, whether it be calypso, whether it be church camps.
Your one piece of advice for the Festivals Commission?
For the Festivals Commission is that we have persons that when we come to making these decisions and execution, we need persons that are capable, are open-minded, and not biased to one group, one organization, one style of doing things, and we have to be very innovative on what we do. As it relates to Tobago, Tobago is a unique place, right? Tobago is one of the most unique places in the world. Tobagonians will tell you, all right, we come in and play with you, and by the time your band reach on the road, it's you alone, right? That is the reality of it, and it's not, and we have to be mindful of that. So with that being said, we have to come up with something that works for Tobago and not the same module that works for National Carnival as in Trinidad, because Trinidad have a different culture. I always say this. A Tobagonian will take a loan to keep harvest. They will not take a loan to go and play mass. A Trinidadian will do that. And we have to understand that what works for us.
That's where the focus is.
Yes, we have to focus on our culture and what works for us. So to the people at Festivals Commission, I think that we just need persons, and we need square pegs in square holes, right? And we need persons that are capable and understand the paradigm of how this actually works. And a lot of people know about mass in terms of creating, but we need people to understand the business of Carnival. And we have to stop doing things to appease rather than doing things that makes economical sense, things that makes logical sense.
I think we can end it right there, Mr. De Leon. Thank you. Thank you so much for being on the program with us and for sharing your perspective. So I guess it was a miss, not a hit.
A big miss. It was a big miss. And it's so unfortunate that this is where it's at, but the best thing is to acknowledge where we went wrong and we can move forward from there. I am a Tobagonian by nature, by birth, by culture, by my
birth or boat?
By birth, birth and heritage and everything. But at the end of the day, we have to be real with what we have to do, and we acknowledge that we miss, and let me go back to the drawing board and let me see if we can get it right.
All right. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us this morning. Viewers, I tell you, the Carnival hit or miss discussions continue on into next week because we want to get the perspectives. We want to be able to do better, be better, do better, even as we focus on October Carnival that's coming up in the next few months. I say few months because the months are rolling by quickly. But at this time, just as we take a break, we're going to be heading over to chatting with Mr. Mikhail Lewis, who was the first place for the interdepartment competition, personality competition. He's going to be chatting with us just after the break. So viewers, share the live, share the live, share the live.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
NCW Productions presents Mako and Hush. Rest. The Tour. The After Carnival release. February 26, Shore Park Complex, 4 p.m. Come see the future in comedy, music, drama, pan, and dance, alongside some of the biggest names in entertainment, all on one stage. See performances from Shawayne Winchester, Culture B, Swappy, Choppy, Ding Dong, Too Real, and Mikey Tower. Jara Nurse, Jared Balfour, KMC, Chance to Dance, comedians like The Drunken Saint, Kivo, Jerome Richardson, Kevin Sawyer, NCW, the Social Media All-Stars, and much, much more. See special appearance from the More Life Twins and newly added to the cast, Brother B. You can get your limited early bird tickets on islandetickets.com or visit any one of our advertised outlets. For more information, please call JB on 398-9107 or contact Sean at Jade Monkey Bar. Rest. The Tour comes to Tobago.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning.
The greatest black devil warrior, me come from the pits of hell, and me have a story for tell. Me here Tobago gone black, and guess what? There's no turning back. But while me been there under, me get one strange feeling in October. Me say what? This not me time. Like a somebody, I play with the timeline. Not play with me, cause me not easy. You see, when I used to be coming down the road, it used to be trouble. Man, woman, and child used to quake and tremble. And if they couldn't pray, it used to cause what disarray. You see, me not easy, right? Because I would call the devil on a direct line to hell. And the evil look in my eyes could I tell. Just imagine them nowadays people not know about me like a that division of tourism is a bubbly. Well, I hope them teachers down in the education division but teach me history to all them school picnic. I see some clients, but I won't tell. Well, because I don't want to go to hell too late. For what I'm about to say, you all will say I am evil. But all I could say is pay the people. Some of you slow. Who dare tap me on my shoulder? And why you do that? Are you overlook familiar? Are you depend the crossover? No, they can't see you. They could only see me.
You're walking? No. You're joking? No.
Oh God!
Tonight the black man feeling the party. Tonight the black man feeling the jam, 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 jam.
Hey! Oh God! Just now, you can't fit in here! You too big! Ooh! Just ease the zip a little bit and let it out. That will noise me!
Just a stranger in a crowded place. Young me cooler.
Enough! You all had your time on stage, and now it is my time to parade. With the fire on my head, until you could have tell. Now me evolve. The fire I come from the depths of the bowel.
Viewers, welcome back. Welcome back. And you just saw a snippet there of the performance of the first place personality for the Interdepartment competition for 2023, Mikhail Lewis. Mr. Lewis is on the program with us this morning. Mikhail Lewis, it is a pleasure to have you with us this morning. Now, the thing is, you're sitting there, you are looking back at your performance, and almost as though he's singing for the very first time because he is in stitches here on Saturday. I mean, we were both in stitches. Mikhail, congratulations to you. Congratulations to you. We want to get your thoughts very quickly. Why this particular performance, or this acknowledgement, this commemoration, this observance? Why Abyssinia?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. Thanks for the congratulations. In terms of interdepartment is for me, it's one of the Carnival events for Tobago. So going into the competition, you know, I wanted to do a Carnival performance, right? And something that would captivate, you know, so not just to perform or do a monologue, but, you know, along the lines of education as well, to teach, right? And Abyssinia is one of the traditional Carnival characters, you know, that's kind of dying away and so forth. And to be able, well, I wanted to blow the fire as well. So for me, that part of it, I
enjoyed?
Yes, I enjoyed.
All right. Now, I wanted to ask you here, when you initially approached to represent Dirt Tech, what was it that you kept saying?
I was like, why me? I remember when they called me, it was like, Mr. Lewis, you are selected to represent the division. I said, me? Nah, man. In the Calypso, and they was like, no, in the personality. I said, nah, man, they're crazy. And I had to think about it. I asked them for 24 hours, and I called persons who I normally, you know, have a line in terms of, you know, I would run things by them. And I remember one thing stuck with me. This person told me, they said, when I said, you know, education told me they want me to represent, and persons normally, you know, come to laugh and that kind of thing. And the person said, stop. That is our main problem. You know, persons, we think about what persons see. And when we think about what persons see, we tend not to do things, right? So put that aside, go and do it, give it your best shot. This is your field. Go and mash them up. And they said, I don't talk, and they hang up the phone.
That was it. But you also made statements like you are in it to win. You don't enter competitions to come second place.
Yes, I have a high standard for myself. So where that is concerned, I don't know about coming second. I don't mind coming second, however, but I must see why I come second, right? That's just my philosophy going into things, right? So I told them that. So in terms of me, they said I was a bit extra, right?
But we
The
know
division.
that. We know that, right?
Yes, that's how it was. So I enjoyed it so much. And for me, I must say the experience was one that was very authentic. I know I've been in the background, assisting persons with their talent and so forth, designing and so forth, and their whole portrayal and concept. And persons had bad experiences, they wanted to give up because the contestants and the level of pick-on that was shown and persons not approving them. Because there are some persons you see the star in them and you could groom them. Right? Other person may not see it until the night of the competition and so forth. But for me, I must say, in terms of the slate of contestants, it was very authentic. We had a great time. Everybody was friendly. If you didn't have this, think they're gonna send this for you. Even on the night of the show, when we were backstage in different tents, persons came and asking for this. Yeah, this, you can lend me this and so forth and that kind of thing. And I must say, the experience for me was very authentic, and I'm grateful for that.
Right. All right. Let me just share with you what's happening on the live. Julia Brown says, OMG, I missed this. I love this. Giselle Donaldson says, Woy, look me into department king. Several G's at the end. Giselle also says, boom, effects in your tail. Maximilian Anderson says he deserved it. Nice, nice, nice. Julia Brown says, thank you, sir, for that. All right, so that's just what some of the viewers on the live are saying on this. Now, who would you like to thank? Who are those persons who ensure that you were able to walk away with the crown? And I mean, you're wearing your crown so nicely this morning. So it's a heavy crown, mind you.
Yes, it's very
Uneasy is the head that wears the crown. But tell us about those persons who contributed to your success on that night.
Well, first of all, I would like to thank God. Without him, nothing is possible. Who don't believe there's a God, I can't answer for that. But for me, when things fall into place, and I have a mantra, when things don't fall into place, what is to be will be. So I must thank God. I must thank my family. I had to call my mom and dad, just to inform them, that so that they wouldn't hear it from a secondary source.
Right.
And my dad said, well, partners, do your thing. And my mom told me, she advised me, and she said that, you know what, go into it for fun. In the event that it doesn't turn out how you want it, you enjoy yourself. Right? So my mom,
Nice
Trudy,
advice.
Nurse Lewis, thank you so much. Lead Lewis, Tyrell, Riel, Cashel, thank you so much. The whole Division of Education, Research and Technology, DIRTEC, Secretary, the Honorable Zorisha Hackett. She's a darling. Assistant Secretary, the
Full
Honorable
support.
Orlando Cove, full support. Administrator Diane Baker Henry, Miss Ethne Yearwood and the committee. Big up to Renisha John as well. Yes, big up to her because, she would have captured the third place in the Calypso competition for education. My chaperone, Giselle Donaldson Yates, Akisa Frederick, Keisha Andrews, Tobago Festivals Commission and the Division of Culture, Camille Khan, and the BGAC posse, I tell you, they came out in their fullest support, and that meant a lot for me. Thank you guys at Belgarden Anglican School, right? The principal, Nigel Hercules, he was front line throughout the entire, with his flag, and Nadia Richards, the admin at Belgarden Anglican School, I must thank them, because at this point in time, they were, they understood and so forth, and, that leniency that they had throughout the entire competition. Roxborough, my village, I must big them up, Roxborough. Roxborough, me say, and Rolf Celestine as well, the second place. He's from Roxborough as well, so I must big him up as well, right? My standard 3 parents, I had to officially inform them because I'm not somebody who normally misses school. So I informed them officially. I had a meeting and I ran things by them, letting them know how things would be. I would be missing classes and so forth. The times I missed classes, I sent work via WhatsApp, you know, the different online technology, and they were very understanding, right? Now that I'm back in the classroom, because 3 days leading up to the competition, I had to pull myself away because of the talent and my voice, and also I had to run up and down and get certain things. So with that, they understood, right? So thank you all for my your understanding. Miss Marcia Devines, Tobago executive, right? The tailor, Andrew Smith, my tailor,
One more
precision cut.
time, one more time.
Yes, Andrew Smith of Precision Cut Tailoring. Thank you so much. I believed in you, you believed in me, and you brought my design to life. I cannot thank you immense. I have to thank you so much, right? The carpenters, Russell Orr, who did the cage, and Ainsworth Francis, who did the trophy podium. Thank you, guys. My fire breathing coach, the trainer, Dwayne White, he trained me. And I must say, you know, I went in for it and I made him proud. I remember when I came off, he was like, hey, partners, you get real heights, boy. In terms of the, and at that point in time, I didn't realize it was live. So I went back and I saw it, right? Also, Leandro, the Panis Nore, who captured some beautiful photos for me. That was excellent. My hairdresser, Kiki of Gosbro, Kiris of Monroe's Touch. Thank you guys for, you know, making sure that I was looking good. The musical technician, Keisha Dinoon, thank you guys so much. The belt, AJs, and accessories at General Store. I must thank you guys for that.
One more time. I want you to say it one more time.
You know, thank you, AJs and accessories. You know, that belt, when I saw it, I was blown away. It was everything I envisioned, and it just was. I went with what for Queen, and persons wanted one.
So let me just put a number out there, 620-9742. That's 620-9742. Go ahead.
Right? The Division of Education, Research and Technology, my sponsors, you know, Nelson's Bookstore, Bell Garden and Lincoln School, they would have given me a contribution. Viking Construction, Curvy, Statuesque Fantasy, Pancho Rentals, Must Be Molly's, Marine Safety Training and Consulting Limited, Abiola Van, Stacy Bremner, Maconi's Home Depot, you know, everyone who believed in me, the support was tremendous. There were persons who came over from their division, persons who never went into the department, but they came to support me. And everyone else who watched on the live and support and believed in me from day one, I thank you guys so much. And thank you to Tobago Updates as well. So if I omitted anyone at this point in time, it is not really, you know, intentional. But I thank each and everyone. I must say thank you, thank you.
Well, I think that's an excellent note to end this morning's show on. Again, Mikhail Lewis, congratulations to you. There was no doubt from the beginning that you were going to do exceptionally well because you're extra. We know it, we love it, we accept it. You are extra. And there's purpose in all of that. So thank you again for being on the program and all the best to you. Yeah, and he's got stories to tell, you know, stories to tell the others who would be coming up later on, maybe next year and stuff. All right, again, congratulations.
Thank you again, Ria.
All right, viewers, we're going to leave it there. Lots more coming up after the Tobago Updates morning show over on to GMT. So Candace has some good information for you, excellent interviews coming up as well. So we say have a great day from all of us here at Tobago Updates morning show. Have a great day, and we will see you on Monday. All right, so it's over to GMT with Candace. Bye-bye.
Was a production of the Department of Information.
Well, today was the day to look at phase 2, to look at access points to a well-deserved, or long-awaited, I should say, housing development. This has been on the books for quite a number of years, so within the next month we should have the contract awarded, so we could bring much relief to people of Tobago. It's north of the police station, I should say, and it's comprised of 47 acres of lands. After the RFP is sent out to the 6 shortlisted contractors, we're going to decide on who wins the bid or who wins the tender, and then we issue a contract. And from there, fireworks. We're going to experiment high-rise apartment building, but this is the first of the 4 projects that we have guided to do. We have Adventure, we have Adelphi, and we have Colon. The Executive Council is trying to change the policies whereby once persons shows interest and they're selected, we could start making a mortgage payment as early as possible. We're trying to encourage other persons, probably returning residents, that they could also be part of the housing draw.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denicia.
Let's go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning.
Welcome to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates, your source for current affairs in Tobago, Trinidad, and the region. With the perfect conversations to complement your morning routine, I am Candace Jackson, and let's get started with the news in 90 seconds. Minority Leader Calvin Morris failed to gather support for his no-confidence motion against the Secretary of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development, Trevor James. Morris accused James of corruption and bid rigging in awarding 4 road infrastructure projects worth almost $300 million. However, Deputy Chief Secretary Dr. Faith B. Israel stated that Morris presented no evidence to prove the allegations. She explained that there are several procurement methods that the government is allowed to use to hire contractors, and James used one that was of a selective tendering process. Meanwhile, Chief Secretary Fali Augustine told the House that audits into questionable infrastructure projects undertaken by the previous THA administration are still ongoing. However, he stated that the findings would form the basis of legal action against the companies. Furthermore, Secretary of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development, Trevor James, stated that despite the ongoing investigations, the accused contractors were hired for several major projects over the past year. He insisted that the contractors had not been blacklisted, but they would be held to high standards. James claimed that problems were already noted with some of the projects undertaken by those contractors in recent months. And nationally, Trinidad and Tobago is expected to start talks with Venezuela in 3 weeks' time about producing and selling gas from the Dragon gas field to this country. Energy Minister Stuart Young returned from Caracas yesterday after a meeting with several officials and stated the groundwork was laid for teams to begin negotiations. The second meeting in Caracas came after the U.S. government agreed to grant TNT, the national gas company, and Shell permission to develop the Dragon field with the possibility of increasing LNG and petrochemical production. And that was the news in 90 seconds. Well, viewers, like I said, I'm not too sure if you would have get a chance to view the proceedings yesterday in the House. It was quite insightful. Quite a lot of information was shared, not necessarily from that of the minority side, and I know that was something that we were all looking forward for. However, you know, we can see that the Executive Council, the Assemblymen, they were able to defend Mr. James, and Mr. James was even able to defend himself. And, you know, we got a little insight as to the different procurement methods that can be used by the government, and this is outlined by documents that are accepted that will form part of the procurement legislation whenever it is proclaimed, because it's just waiting and ready to be proclaimed. But yes, it was quite an interesting time. Also very interesting was seeing Mr. Watson Duke, Assemblyman for Roxborough Argyle, in the House yesterday. Well, of course, he seemed to support the minority side in this motion. He wasn't there for the voting of the motion, so we didn't get to actually hear how he voted. But he was there, and he did have some things to say about the Executive Council. But you know, that was also another very interesting discussion, and as well as, you know, that's this whole idea of those contractors that are under audit still being used. And Mr. James went into quite detail. You know, he actually called the names because, you know, Chief Secretary Friday Augustine has avoided labeling the contractors that were under investigation. However, James decided that perhaps it's time to reveal to the public exactly who these contractors are. But he also said that, you know, they were being awarded contracts still, you know, so that there's no bad blood. But anyways, we have a lot more to get into, but we need to go to a break first, and I'll see you when we come back.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denise. Let's go, go.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO, and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Something telling me jump, something telling me wave, something telling me this is the end. I can feel the spirit, it calling me, the spirit calling me, spirit, it calling me. Start to jump around if you feel the spirit, it calling me, the spirit calling me.
Excel Spa by Haley, where our highly trained staff are ready to deliver the top-class services in facial massages, waxing, nail enhancement, and body treatment. We are ideally located at Coco Avenue, Switzerland, Tobago. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, TripAdvisor, or you can call us on 730-0149. Excel Spa by Haley. Relax, renew, and rejuvenate.
Tobago updates.
back to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates. And viewers, yes, we are still talking about what was said, what happened in the House yesterday. And joining us online to give us his perspective, because we got his perspective before setting up the House, but we're going to get a little bit more from geopolitical scientist Dr. Shane Mohammed. Good morning and welcome to you. How are you doing?
Good morning, good morning. How are you? Excitement like that.
Now, was there enough excitement in the House yesterday in regards to, the information or what was shared from Mr. Morris about the allegations against Mr. James?
Candice, there was, again, remember from the start of this conversation, I said from the onset that the word evidence was important.
Yes.
And I kept saying to myself every time I listened to the entire thing from the beginning to the end, I listened to Mr. Morris, and I have to say this, and I will give credit where it's due. There's a particular name of a contractor that exists in Trinidad that should not be in the Tobago space. And that was one of the first contractors that was named. He went on to describe the contractor having allegations of corruption and whatnot raised against the contractor in the parliament, and it was under investigation and all of that. And I'll give him credit in that regard, that yes, I agree with him that there's certain contractors that does not belong in the Tobago space because of the reputation that they have gathered during the period of time in which the partnership was in power. And I would advise, and I would say to the administration that the one good thing that came out of that discussion and that debate was that there are some things that should be left in Trinidad and not be allowed into the Tobago space. That I would give him credit for, right? And it was, if it was not said in a private capacity, if it was not said before, if he did not say it, and I don't think he could have been able to say it in outside of the chamber because of parliamentary privilege. I would say that particular point he drove home very well, and I accepted it, and I agreed with him, because he's right. You have a bad reputation. You have a reputation of allegations, of not even allegations, of evidence of corruption. You are I mean, and he even went on to say that he called the big names in contracting, like Junior Sammy and Calco. Calco. And he was like, what about these fellas, right? And I have to give credit that, you give credit where it's due. He did raise one very good point about certain contractors or contractor in Trinidad that should not be in the Tobago space, and we take that point, right? The rest of it, however, was a circus, because it seems as though that was the only point that he had available to drive home, because there was nothing that he came to the house with any documents, any correspondence, that even the correspondence that he read, and there was correspondence that he read, emails that he read, nothing connected to the secretary in a manner that you go, wait, boy, Trevor, you in that, all of that going on, it did not startle anybody. I was looking at the comments of people who were commenting while the debate was going on, and the majority of listeners and observers in the Tobago space, and the majority of Tobagonians are very satisfied by the work done by Mr. Trevor James, and they give him full support. And I also have to give credit to Mr. James. Mr. James, without a script, without even looking at a piece of paper, without a piece of paper, was able to call the project and quote the amount, and to counter the minority costs and say, well, I don't know where you get 300 million from. You do the maths. I know he started with 54 and he went to 25, and it was 4 or 5 that he called, and he said, this is not what it doesn't add up to what you are saying.
Yes.
Then he went on to talk about the fact that he knew that when he was signing up for this job, that he had to have a strong shoulders and a broad back. And he knew that given the portfolio that he was about to take on, that he had to make sure and ensure that he was able to withstand scrutiny. And by all means, the man, when he defended himself, there was nothing that he said to me that caused me to doubt him, right? I would say, that the executive as a whole, going forward, must take from this debate learning points, and there are
Certainly.
good few learning points.
No, I also want to get your perspective on the different procurement methods that was aligned by Dr. Faith B. Israel, Assemblyman or Deputy Chief Secretary Dr. Faith B. Israel, because she wanted to quite detail about, there are different types of ways that you can hire a contractor, whether you approach a special pool of contractor, whether you so select. There are actually, there's about 6 or 7, if I'm not mistaken, 6 or 7 methods. What is your take on just that explanation, that presentation that she gave?
Candace, the thing, my motto in life, and I think you might have heard it in our previous discussion, is that I give way to the experts. The very same way that you would call upon me for my level of expertise in my area, my field, and my specialization. It's the same way that I will not encroach upon a colleague who's an economist or a sociologist. So sometimes when we are, like, prior to the elections and even during the election campaign, when we were on a panel discussion with Dr. Vanis James and others, and the conversation about the economy and that kind of thing would come up, I would pull back and I would be quiet, because I would allow Dr. Vanis James and others to go forward and to speak about their area of expertise. And one of the things in procurement is expertise. And again, Mr. Morris also drove home that point when he spoke to the names of the big contractors that are located in Trinidad, right? The thing is this: there were several contractors that were named that are existing in Tobago. For example, Sierra Brothers, California Stucco. Mr. James went on to talk about giving Parks International a contract, even though that they were still under a question mark, right? But what the deputy CS did is that she outlined the fact that you go down the route of procurement based on certain requirements. That's the first thing. You go down go through the phases of procurement based on areas of expertise and urgency. I mean, if a road collapses now and you need a Bailey Bridge, right? One of that is, and there's very few, if I'm not mistaken, 1 or 2 in the country, contractors who are specialized in Bailey Bridges, right? And therefore, and if you have to bring a Bailey Bridge from Trinidad to Tobago, you need enough notice. You probably will not get notice, but you need to get it on a boat somehow, right? In parts, and then the specialization to build the Bailey Bridge over the area that has collapsed. Now, that has happened in Trinidad as it pertains to Maracas, and I know a good friend of mine who is specialized in Bailey Bridges, and you have to, it's not like you could go out and tender for that. Yeah, it is a matter of picking up the phone and saying, hey, part of Maracas collapsed. There's no roadways for them to pass. We need a Bailey Bridge to be set up. You can do the Bailey Bridge over the next 24 hours. That is a matter of urgency. So, she talked about that. She talked about Soul Select. She talked about the tendering process. She talked, She went all about it, and what I am pleased about, and what I thought was exceptional about her presentation is the woman knows she walk. The woman and the woman knows she walk. She know the definitions of it. She was able to deliver it without inkling of even a doubt, putting doubt. It was a teaching moment for Tobagonians. It was a teaching moment probably for Calvin Morris as well, right? Because there are stages, there are different areas, there are different levels of expertise, there are different tier systems, right? That you go to in order to get this, to get the right person or the right contractor to fit into the job spec that is required, right? And go ahead.
I was also going to ask, were you satisfied with the explanation given by even the chief secretary himself about, what qualified what qualified the works for Carnival for emergency works? Because that was a concern that was thrown about, and it was a valid concern. So are you satisfied now with the explanation that was given by the chief secretary and others for validating the work?
I have to say it was something that I really looked forward to listening to. Why? Because of those doubts that were cast in the beginning prior to the debate. And what I love about these fellas is that, and even with Calvin, I mean, I have to give him credit. He's not an arrogant fella. He's not aggressive. He's not he's like, hey, this is what is in front of me, right? This is what is in front of me. This is the information I am getting. Whether it is that it turned out, right, that, and I'll come back to the chief sec, whether it turned out that he's just a sitting duck and he's just a puppet on a stick as they said he was, and that he was taking like orders, then what Mr. Morris has to do is some serious introspection and political introspection as to what he wants for his political future. Because he kept referring to the PNM political leader.
Yes.
And the sad fact about it is that you are the one man that was able to take Darrell Spring Garden for what? 4 votes were able to take you to carry you over. It means to say that the people of Tobago that voted for you to come in by those 4 votes was not by a stroke of luck, but also by some level of divine intervention or some belief system that you are the only good man standing. Right? And if that is the case, and we measure it by that yardstick that you are the one good man standing in PNM, then brother, don't go into a debate and refer to the past. Don't go to the debate and refer to your political leader. In fact, what he should have done in the previous election was challenge and say, listen, I win the seat. I am sitting down in there doing the dog walk and trying to rebrand the PNM. I should be the political leader, or I should be, I should be political leader of the Tobago, Tobago Council. Now, coming back to the chief sec, it was complete mashup. The man was not without fear or favor. He hold back. He said, listen, he said, I'm telling all you on this side and I'm telling all you on that side, right? If any one of you all are corrupt, you all will be fired and you all wouldn't even know. Or you'll get noticed after the fact. He also went on to say that if Calvin has enough evidence and he brings the evidence to prove that somebody, Trevor, whoever, is in corruption, he will walk with him to the police station, right? There was also the statement that, well, if you have so much, so much facts in front of you, why you didn't take it to the police? Why you didn't take it to the Integrity Commission, right? Why you didn't take certain steps? Why you didn't take up the phone and say, Chief Secretary, I need to see you. This is what I have on paper, right? Even the email that was read, the question that came to my mind when the email was read, when he was reading out his email, I assumed because of how he phrased his wording with regard to the email, is that The email was not sent to Trevor James. It was copied to Trevor James. And the question is, he didn't say that Trevor James never answered to no email. So, because Candace, you can be emailing the person who is in charge of contracts in my division and copy me thinking that I's a heavyweight. So I go in and tell that young fella or that individual or young lady who is in charge, well, they will go ahead and organize that person. That never happened. There was no word. There was nothing that was said even in the reading of the email that even brought the thought that the man didn't respond to the email.
No.
He did
And
not.
then
He
that goes to
didn't.
show, because remember sometimes, you know, these things, they are copied and pasted to several persons within a division, and it's just more of a way of courtesy and leaving a paper trail. Not and it's not necessarily about addressing a specific person. So I mean, it's just understanding the way how the public service works and so on. But I also want to bring up about conversations in regards to Mr. Watson Duke, because we heard from Mr. Watson Duke in spite of everything that's been going on in the House yesterday. And what are your take on, you know, just his presentation, his contribution to debate? Because he seemed to be on the minority side, but however, he was not there for his votes.
What a hypocrite. What a hypocrite. You know, the thing about it is, all the fancy talk, all the dress up, the fanciness, right? I don't understand if Watson Duke has he no shame? There's still, last night I'm going through social media, and there's still pictures and videos of this man circulating in this lewd way, right? He should, if it's anybody that should have a motion to throw him out of the assembly, it's that man. Because you come to the parliament, you come to the assembly, right? You make your speech, you give your lecture, you talk about integrity, you talk about doing good, you're talking about everything under the principles of the PDP, what you all promise the people, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
What about you? What about you as a leader? What about you as leader of the people of the PDP? What about what we just saw over the Carnival weekend? That, you know, you just turned yourself into, quote unquote, for the lack of
A
a better
laughing
word,
stock.
not a laughing stock, a different level of video star. I mean, you're bordered on pornography. What madness is this? And you are standing in the assembly, and you are addressing the assembly and speaking to. And I note that his language was very tailored
Oh, yes.
as to how he addressed the quote unquote Falian friends in terms of the gentlemen and the young ladies and whatnot on the other side. But nothing that uh, Watson can possibly see at this time or any other time, can give Watson Duke the credibility that he is of good standing. Because between him and the Gazelle, like I like to call her, right? They have turned the PDP into nothing but they've relegated them to the political cemetery. And anybody who believes that the PDP can move forward with Watson Duke is delusional and is holding on to false hope, right? I mean, you're preaching one thing in one voice, you're preaching one thing, but your words does not meet with your actions, because the very same rubric and the same yardstick you want to, and the same level of integrity you want to hold the members of the council, executive council, by, you can't even hold it to your own self.
Yes. And what about the statement, the statement made by Mr. Augustine, Chief Secretary, in regards to what's going to happen or what's happening with the audit? Because that was another concern that's been bandied about by the minority, that the audit is taking way too long. I mean, there are questions. Well, the minority says that there are questions about the audit However, the chief secretary gave his side, and he says that, you know, he may not necessarily come to the public with it, but it would form the basis for legal action.
But yeah, because at the end of the day, again, he did say that the auditor generals are in Tobago. The auditor general's department are in Tobago, and they are in Tobago to do their routine work, which is to audit the assembly's first year, right? But that does not prevent them from auditing the years before. And that is how the Auditor General Department works. They are multifaceted, and they're able to do several different jobs at the same time. What I like and I found interesting is that he would not necessarily take the findings to the public. Why he does not necessarily have to take the findings to the public is because the Auditor General report for all of what is being investigated will be laid. It will have to be laid into the in the House, and it will have to be laid in the Parliament, right? At the end of the day, it becomes a public document, and then it would be the basis for which you decide whether there's criminal findings and whether what is the next step. So he has his responsibilities and his duties lined up for him, and he's very well. You know, when I listened to them speak yesterday, it was they talk about bastion and talking about flag bearers, and I will say this on the part of Mr. Morris. Mr. Morris handled himself in a way that I would say was good. It was substantial in terms of he brought to the House a very good point, and the point is that at the end of the day, they are all bastions of good governance, including himself. If only he could find a mechanism and a way to untie himself from the political I don't know, the political parasites that is the PLM of the past, right, so to speak. But the debate itself was strong. The debate was very interesting. They came with different views. Zarisha Hackett was on fire yesterday.
Oh yes, she was.
And you know, Mr. James, in what I liked about listening to Mr. James, another politician would have gotten up and ranted and raved in a manner that would have questioned whether or not they were guilty. You understand? The approach would have been a different approach. But when I was waiting for him to stand up to speak, and when he stood up to speak, he was measured and calculated, and he was able to give the facts, and it spoke about a man of experience, a man that knew where he came from, a man that knew what the role and function of his job was, and what his vision for Tobago remains, and he's resolute in that vision for Tobago.
And he proved that you know, he would not be shaken by any of the allegations thrown against him.
No, and he even went on to highlight that the works that has been done thus far, and that is correct. Remember, in the last conversation we had, we talked about whether it was 90 or 19 million, and it was $19 million that was able to do more than a road. It did several things. That 19 million covered at least 4 different things.
Yes.
And and he even spoke about that that bypass road out of Scarborough that even we spoke about, and what a convenience it was for the people of Tobago. So at the end of the day, the debate happened. There's a lot of good that came out of debate from both sides. Both sides were able to highlight where they are at, what their understanding is. Dr. Faith B. Israel, Zarisha Hackett, the Chief Secretary, definitely. I have great respect for Councillor Sertica Williams, or the lady knows her stuff. She's able to stand up and you know, be also a mentor, and I would say her experience makes her a mentor to the entire assembly, including that of the opposition. Unfortunately, the minority council struggled. The minority councillor struggled, and it happens. It happens in the best of debates. But at the end of the day, Mr. James was able to defend himself, and he did. He, to be honest with you, he could have defended himself without the help of anybody else today. It could have been just him versus the minority leader, and we call it a day. Because again, the evidence was not there.
All right. Thank you
It comes
so
down
much,
to that.
Dr. Mohammed, for your views on this matter and for your insight. So viewers, I think we are going to go straight into another interview, and this time it is with Miss Yolanda Marcel, of President of the Signal Hill Secondary School alumni. Good
PTA.
PTA. Okay. So good morning and welcome to you.
Nice to be here. Good to see you again.
Yes, certainly. So you are here to speak about an expo coming up, the Universal Food and Agro Expo.
Yes. Yes. It's, well, you know, at Signal Hill, we always like to be trending. So we're always starting stuff, you know. And so under the leadership of our new principal, we are venturing into this, well, how to call it, new land in a sense, because we're trying to encourage, you know, we're in Tobago, we're concerned about food security and stuff like that. And so we're trying to teach our children, you know, the joys, the excitement of food production. And so this expo is an opportunity to showcase what the children and parents would have planted, because we had an activity some weeks ago where...
So you already started planting some
Yes.
stuff?
So we had the parents and teachers and students came out, and we put some stuff in the ground. And so at the expo, those are some of the things that would be sold.
Now, give me an idea of what you guys planted.
We plant lettuce, cabbage. We have some cucumbers to go down, and some even more things that are coming in. Corn. We have some 6 weeks corn, and those would also would be planted by the teachers and the students.
Now, is this part, was an extension of the agricultural program, agriculture studies program at the school, or is it just something separate?
No, it's really to promote that side. What we have is a lot of the parents, they have the children to do agri-science as just a make-up, because they're thinking, well, it's agri-science, is planting, how hard that could be. And so the children go in and they find out there's so much more.
Oh, yes.
You know, and it's so exciting. And the fact that it can be a business, you know, and so we wanted to get the parents involved to have an idea of what it all entails. And so we decided, actually the PTA has had a gel program going on for the past couple of years, where it's grow, eat, and learn. So over the summer holiday, instead of the children be at home just watching TV and playing video games and so on, we have this challenge where they get to go outside and plant something, and the PTA provides them with the seedlings, and they are responsible for nurturing it and growing it and harvesting it. And then we have a show of it and award to the child that follows through and completes the project and so on.
So many students are taking part in this program?
In the expo and in the gel program. In the expo?
Yes.
Well, as many of the agri students as will participate, and because of the good showing that we had with the planting, we know, because some parents didn't get an opportunity that Saturday, and they're like, so Miss Marcel, you know, are we doing this again? When do we get an opportunity? So it's really an exciting project, and we're looking forward to it. Our plan, it's going to be on March 24th and 25th, 2 days. Our plan is to transform Signal Hill, the parking lot, the courtyard. So when you walk in, you know we're doing agri.
So you're basically being a plant heaven.
Right. So you walk in, and so we're going to have the children there seeing, you know, after you've planted and reaped, this is the other side of it, the business side of it. We're going to have the teachers and parents supervising and helping them. But they're the ones that's going to be at the stands selling. They're going to be the ones putting on different performances and so on. So it's an exciting collaboration because it's Parents Teachers Association. So we're really going to be bringing all together into one.
What inspired you guys to launch this program?
Well, the agri teacher has so many different ideas about things, and he is really passionate about agriculture. So in talking to him and talking to the principal and so on, the principal got this amazing idea, and we all were so excited about it. We decided we all are going to run with it. We're even thinking, we've gone to past students who are farmers themselves to get products from them for that day and so on. So we're really showing what Signal Hill produces in the quality of people, and it's not just academics. And we think that farming have been neglected and sidelined. You know, we don't really see the full value of farming, and that's something we want. And you know, we're talking about it on the national stage, but we have to look at the legacy, which is we have the younger ones. We have to teach them so that they don't come up and think that going in the garden is just wasting time. It have no money in that, and it have no future in that. And if you come home and tell your parents, well, I want to be a farmer, they're like, I pay my money and send you to school all this time for you to come out and dig dirt. So all of that, we really want, it's more of an education project to have this expo. We're also going to be including the health sector. So they're going to be coming in. We're going to have blood pressure testing and your diabetic testing, your sugar and so on. So it's a holistic, we'll have nutrition there. We're going to have people talking about nutrition and so on. So it's going to be a holistic view of agriculture.
And tell me about the experience of the students within the program. Are they excited? You know, I mean, how have they grown?
They are excited because now the parents are also excited. And you know, as a child, if you're doing something and your parents not really involved, you're like, you know, but when your parents are there with you, because that morning we came out to plant, it was 6 o'clock in the morning, 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. And we had little ones there. You know, Form 1 students there, Form 2 students there. We had Form 5 students, Form 4 students. So we had a wide range of the age group, and their parents were there with them. And that made it more excited. So while the parents were digging, they had their smaller tools, and they were digging and cleaning out the grass and so on to get the ground ready. So they're excited.
And then how has it, you know, even helped the relationships between, you know, parents and teachers and the students?
That is funny because you get to laugh at your parents. We have parents who they're already into farming and gardening in their own space, but there are parents who just came out just to support. We even had a little toddler there, and she saw her mom and her brother doing digging and so on, so she got her little fork and she was trying to dig also. So you know, it now feels like fun instead of work. So even my daughter, she does agri. She's going to be doing agri-science for O-levels, and she started to remind me, Mommy, make sure I get my picture for this. I will add this to the SBA. Now, she grown and complained to get up at 5:30 in the morning.
Well, of course.
Of course. But when we got there and the excitement with everyone there and so on, she was like, all right, I'm digging here and I'm digging there. And the other people, even we had our former principal, Mrs. Potts, came out, and her grandson. I mean, we had different teachers, and the support was really good. And the children were able, they felt like they were able to give their parents instruction now because this is their domain, they do agriculture. And so it was just a really fun time to watch that interaction.
So what's the vision for the program? Like, where do you guys want to take it?
We really want to take it to a place where we can see our former students go on to be great farmers, producers, even producers, because after you can plant the cassava, sell it. And then we are looking now for someone to take that and turn it into something else. You could plant the dashing. There's so many opportunities, and hopefully that we can see where we have some students who looking to export, the products that would come from that. So we're really looking that they don't just see it as just a kitchen garden just to make sure I eat or my family eat, but something they can look forward to establish themselves and even bring in foreign exchange into our island and so on.
Certainly.
So we're really looking for it and hoping too that other schools jump on that vision, and that way we could have, whether it's an agri-challenge, because the GEL program that we use is GEL, Grow, Eat and Learn. That program that we do every August holiday when they're home, we really want to begin to expand it so that now instead of competing within Signal Hill, we can compete with all the secondary schools and just have it as something really good that it does not, the real goal is that they don't look at it as just punishment.
It is a career.
Yes, it definitely
it is
has
a professional
an
career,
future in there. Yeah.
Now, how can the public get involved? How can the public support what you guys are doing?
All right. So, starting with on Tuesday coming, we're going to be having a barbecue sale, $50 for adults, $35 for children at the school compound to raise funds to start bearing some of the costs that this project is going to incur. So you can support, you can see it on your screen, you can support, come by and place your order. We're going to have it ready by 11 o'clock for lunchtime. And on March 24th and 25th, we're inviting the public to come out and support and buy from the children and let them see that, this really is something I can do. Come out and support. We have a whole program set for Friday the 24th. We have special invited guests and performances and all the health testing and so on. And on Saturday, you can also continue with purchasing and so on. So we really would like that kind of support. It's free to come in for the expo. It's free to come in. We just encourage you to support by purchasing the products that the children would have grown.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Ms. Marcel, for being on with us and for sharing us all that amazing stuff that's happening at Signal Hill Comprehensive School. Viewers, if it's one thing you need to support this, because we need to encourage our children, our students, our young people to get more into agriculture. It's about time we change that mentality and that stigma about agriculture.
And about Signal Hill. Usually they think that Signal Hill don't produce anything awesome, but I'm telling you, we're doing great and amazing things at Signal Hill Secondary.
So, all right, well, thank you so much for being on with us. And viewers, well, this is how we come to the end of the program. Have a wonderful, safe, and productive weekend. There's so much happening still. All the carnival cool down is still ongoing over this weekend. So whatever you do, please be safe. Be mindful of your alcohol levels. Please do not drink and drive. And pay attention to the road rules as well. All right, so we see you again on Monday, and have a good one.
Start to rise, the energy fill the sky.